Hello, human design students and fans, and anyone else who's here. I'm Isa Silver. I translate human design, and that means readings and teachings and whatever it takes for the language to become clear to people so that human design can support and empower your life process as it has mine. Um, but yeah, there's lots of words. And what I'm doing today is practicing the words. So the words I'm going to practice are from gate 50 and gate 3 of the Blue I Ching. That's where the sun and earth are this week. So, in other words, the babies being born this week have values as their personality sun, their strongest conscious outputting force, balanced by the earth in gate 3, this sacral individual mutative gate compared to this tribal supporting values gate. There's the polarity this week. And I'm going to start with the first lines of both gates because that helps me see the polarity, see the balancing force of two opposites. Because that's what's happening in these two gates. We're looking at opposite forces, yin yang oppositions. So with the first line of the tribal gate of values, we have the immigrant who develops and refines values, balanced in the sacral gate by synthesis. This is the synthesis to create order out of chaos, because that's basically, the basis of gate 3. It's about altering the order and mastering the chaos that arises when syntheses are created. And one synthesis is the egg and the sperm, but that's just one kind of synthesis. But the point being that change and mutation are major forces in humanity, and it's cultural or it's reproductive, genetic, that mutation comes out of. Now, there's the first line. What does the second line do? Well, determination. The natural at values, to maintain one's values with strength is the potential here. And what balances that is subordination. Oof, this one hits manifestor me. Subordination, the acceptance of guidance for individual mutation. The second line, natural at mutation, is allowing the others to guide you through mutation. Note to self. What does the third line do? Trials and errors and experiences with values lead to adaptability. The awareness that support is necessary is the blue line here. The duality, which I'm going to share, on the dark side, the frustration in realizing that one cannot make it alone and that one is forced to accept or adapt to other values. Ooh, how many individuals, how many individuals go, oh, I have to adapt to your values? Whoa, I can't do this by myself? Isn't that what being a manifester is? Bad, bad um, PR on that whole manifester thing. Even manifestors cannot make it alone. Let me say that. Survival is the other side of adaptability, although they kind of sound the same. Survival through recognizing fertility is what's happening here, though. The fertility relating to, well, this is kind of genetic mutation, I suppose we're talking about, but not necessarily, right? Because on the one side here is the ability to distinguish between fertile and sterile and choose the right partner for mutation. On the dark side of that line is the stubborn denial of mutation and innovation. third line getting all calloused, you know? Then there's the fourth line, my design north node. Corruption of values is the keynote from the blue I Ching. And their aspirational blue line to maintain one's strength despite questionable values. Because the fourth line, you know what happens here? You're getting the values out to the other people. And well, I'm pretty comfortable with this word now. I remember when the I Ching words would frighten me like this, but this one doesn't now because I can see the value in corruption now. I can see the value in a judge accepting money, a bribe to apply the law differently, but in applying the law differently, allowing a woman to have dignity, for example. You know, this is what a judge can do. The right person in the network can go against the rules and give a good result because the rules are effing rules, you know, and they need to change, right? Well, let's see. Let's talk about that changing of rules, perhaps. Charisma is an element of that, and that's the fourth line over here in the mutation gate. Charisma that attracts nourishing energy, which of course means that sometimes the search for nourishment is rejected. Um, but on the bright side, there's an attuned energy that attracts nourishment and facilitates innovation. There's my South design node. And you know, individual me seemed to fit in there. What does the collective want to see from values? What do they project on the savior of the tribe? They project consistency, the conservative awareness of basic values, doing the same thing in the same way to keep yourself alive. Basic principles should not be abandoned casually on the Saturn bright side there. But of course, that also means there's a Martian detriment, the stubborn reaction and rebellion against basic methods and values that were actually successful. That can happen too. And boy, it can hurt other people in the tribe when that one who was expected to be consistent is not. It can hurt. On the other side, balancing out the consistency is the courage to stand by one's convictions, even if unclear. The unique energy of individuality that withstands confusion. On the bright side, listen to me slipping into the duality descriptions. Not quite sure why, but it's something for me to see that the fifth line detriment here is the confused energy that is dominated by the ordering powers of others. You know, that sounds so bad, like being ordered by others. But this is a fifth line, you know, like this is what people want to see, but maybe this is the failure of the fifth line. Like you didn't mutate well enough and therefore you're dominated with others. But you know, I've seen people, or at least one woman who has this in her incarnation cross in the detriment. And you know, she hires a lot of consultants. That was useful to me for a while. But it's the flip side of the coin. And in the middle is the courage to stand by convictions. Ah, we're almost done. What does the sixth line say? The sixth line says it with emphasis. Again, this is a keynote that I'm not quite sure about. But the blue line is clear. Leadership, sixth line leadership, through maintaining one's values with vigor. Other people see you maintaining your values. Interestingly enough, on the shadow side here, where the sixth line maintains her values, it can alienate and impede effectiveness. I am sticking with my values. I am the sixth line. Watch me do it. But then they don't get along with the others because of that. Oh, I've never seen a sixth line detriment like that. What happens on the other side? Mutation, we get equanimity, accepting that ordering is a process. The shadow here is hopelessness when the confused power overwhelms. The bright side is, note to self, the innate knowledge that ordering is a natural process, not a problem that can be solved by struggle. No amount of struggle is going to force the mutation. It's a natural process. And there it is. This week's polarity. We've got intelligence based on values and ethical consciousness on one side, and we've got the vital force of change and mutation, ready to start something new, ready to overcome confusion and make a new form on the other side, balancing each other. And the words this week from the Blue I Ching, as they always are here in 12 blue lines, because they're the ones who made blue lines for all of the lines, which is something fun to talk about if you're a nerd and you know what I'm talking about. And by the way, this is me. If you have any questions about this kind of stuff, if you want to learn something, if you want to understand dualities and polarities and harmonies in your own design, I'd be happy to talk about your chart or anybody else's chart. Until next time, wishing you a very pleasant week.